All right, everybody. So welcome. This is our final workout for this week's video series on in-home exercise using the tubes, right? And again, the great thing about using these tubes or these bands with the handles, is they're incredibly versatile. They don't take up any room. So whether you have them at home or you're going to go away on a trip, whether it's just for a weekend or weeks and weeks and weeks and you're traveling abroad, it doesn't matter. A lot of times you don't know if you're going to have a gym available or what they're even going to have there. Because a lot of times when you travel, and I do a fair amount of traveling, even if you're at a decent hotel, you know, they might have like a treadmill and, you know, some goofy little piece of equipment that has 4 stations on it, but it's all yuck. So here you can do this right in your hotel rooms or where you're staying, or at home. So anyhow, the point is incredibly versatile. You can get a lot done with them. Today's our final video. We're working on the shoulders, which we call delts or deltoids, And to give you a brief anatomy breakdown of your shoulder girdle, So the shoulder girdle we're going to include as this upper arm in the bone, which is called your humerus bone, And then the actual socket, what we call the glenoid fossa. And then you have to realize that your shoulder blade or scapula and the socket itself are one bone. It's one big bone. It looks like, you think there's 2 separate things going on there, but the shoulder blade itself, we say if this is your shoulder blade, when it comes up, if we talk about this being my right shoulder, here's the shoulder blade on my back, on my ribs, It comes up and then part of the shoulder blade, which is flat, then opens up into this open socket right here, So it moves because it's one big bone. It moves together. So when your shoulder blade's moving, the socket is actually moving because the socket is part of the shoulder complex or the shoulder blade. And then the humerus sits in that shoulder socket. But your shoulder, what we call that glenoid fossa, it's more like a golf tee. It's not a deep ball and socket like this. Like your hip is a deep ball and socket. That hip is in there deep, that bone, and it's surrounded by it. But your shoulder is like a golf tee. It's much more like this. So the humerus bone comes up into the ball, and it sits in that, but it really has a huge range of, that's why all this kind of range of motion is available. It's incredible what that allows you to do because that's just a really open, shallow socket and that can move around. Whereas your hip like this, it only goes to a certain point. You don't have that much. So your hip is much more stable. Your shoulder is much more loose as far as the range of motion. So we want to make sure that it's really not only toned but stable. And so you have inner muscles, which we call your rotator cuffs. It's not cup, but cuffs, C-U-F-F. And there's 4 muscles to that. There's what we call the supraspinatus tendon, which comes down from the top of the shoulder blade through the shoulder and attaches to the humerus, right here on the side of the arm. Then there's 2 in the back that attach to your shoulder blade, and they come up through here, your infraspinatus and your teres minor. Infraspinatus is higher, teres minor lower. And it attaches. And those are the external rotators that help rotate your arm back. And then there's your subscapularis, which is tied up behind the shoulder blade that you can't see, up under it. And it comes around, up and in, and it attaches to the inferior aspect, right, the inside aspect of your arm. And those are all meant, those 4 are meant to pull the arm up into the socket and keep it there so that it's not moving around and banging because they're loose. And that's where we get a lot of shoulder challenges or injuries and that kind of thing. Tendinitis, supraspinatus tendinitis, the external rotators aren't functioning correctly, right? Supraspinatus might be too tight or too loose. And that's where a lot of that rehab goes into. So that's a lot of talking. Let's show you some of the exercises that you can do. So the first thing, that first basic exercise is what we call a shoulder press. So this is another pressing motion. So we think of other pressing motions as the things we did for your chest, And remember when we were talking about chest, forget about where the band is just for a minute. We push straight out. That's for the overall aspect of the chest. We push up on an angle, that's for the upper, and we push down on an angle for the lower aspect. That upper push, remember, if you remember the video, I said when you do your chest now, the hand should be up in front of your face, roughly about here, yeah? For an incline to work that upper clavicular head of the chest. And remember I said don't put your hands up this high because that works your shoulders. Well, that's what we want to work today is your shoulders. So we have that cable down nice and low. It's down in the bottom. I know you can't see it, but it's down low. And I can back myself all the way up. You don't have to be out front. And from here then, elbows down, tight to the body. And then you push straight up and over. And then back down. So from this angle, I'm going to turn this way just a little bit so you can see. When you press straight up, we want your hands, so your biceps should be basically right at your ears. Right at your ears. So you don't want your arms out in front. You want your arms straight up. You want a nice posture. Make sure that you're not overarching. See how my lower back is really arching? You want to tuck your butt. Draw your stomach in. That stabilizes your lower back. Push straight up and then down. Exhale. Inhale. Notice that my elbows are out to the side right now. So if I come forward, so you can see here, and I back up, so I'm pretty straight up and down. Straight up, straight down. Now, let me squat down so you can see my hands. Forget about my position as far as my legs. Pushing straight up, I'm just doing this to show you where my hands are. Hands here, or you can turn your hands in and push straight up. This is actually an external rotation position, which is a very good position for your shoulders. So whichever one is more comfortable is fine. Notice my arms are coming all the way down. Now, depending on who you talk to, they'll say, oh, if you're doing shoulder presses, don't let your elbows drop below 90 because it keeps the muscle activated, and that's perfectly fine. But I fully believe in getting a full range of motion. So this lower range from here to here, we want that. So I want you coming all the way down, all the way up. Now, another one you can do, which comes from my mentor, Paul Check, and he calls it the check press. And so now, what you're going to do is you are going to bring your arms up so they're 90 degrees. And there's two positions that are two different rotations that we go through. So from here, the arms are out to the side, and we close the arms together so they're parallel. Notice my elbows are still staying the same height as my shoulder. They're not dropping down, right? So I keep them to parallel. I push them straight up and over. I turn them, and then I bring them down to this position, elbows, shoulder height. Together, arms parallel, up, arms parallel, turn, bring them down. Again, one more time. Together, up, turn, down. And then you can reverse that. Go straight up, turn them. Elbows come parallel, so don't let your elbows do this out to the side. Bring them down parallel, open them up. Up, turn, elbows parallel, open it up. So those are just check presses, and that'll really, really explode those shoulders, which is a beautiful thing, in a good way, right? Big burn. So that's a basic shoulder press. And then from there, we can do a couple other things for shoulders. So I have the grommet in the door, nice and secure. I go to a lighter band. And from here, we can do, actually I'm going to move this up and show you this. So I'm going to move this up to shoulder height, roughly. Get that all the way in there. Okay, will that stay? Perfect. All right, shoulder height, find the center of my band. And then from here, backing up, yeah, good, we can see each other. My arms are perfectly level with the band, so I've moved the band up to shoulder height. My wrist, my elbow, my shoulder stay at the same height the whole time. And from here, I'm going to put, these are called W's. Pull them straight back, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then bring them straight back down. Notice that my wrist stays straight. I'm not torquing my wrists. And I keep my elbows about shoulder height. I don't let them drop down. And then bring them forward. Inhale, rotate them back, exhale. Inhale. So as I'm rotating my arm back, I'm pulling my elbow back and I'm squeezing my shoulder blade together. So I'll move towards camera. I think you can see that, yeah? Yeah, very good. So from here, pull straight back and rotate, and then bring it forward. Pull all the way back, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then bring it forward. Inhale, exhale. So that's really going to work the back of the shoulder and what we call your rhomboids and upper shoulder girdle, which helps bring you from this position to drawing those back, because we need muscle to draw that back and hold us in that position, yeah? So really nice. And then what we can do is we can bring this back down, and I'll show you another external rotation, which is classic. I'm going to get that grommet out of the way, which is classically what is referred to as external rotation. And we use this a lot of times for rehabilitation of strengthening the external rotator cuff muscles. So I'm going to go to a single band, and I may have to move the camera for this. And what this is doing is, I'm going to move the camera here. Don't let me lose you. There you go. So I have now the cable at the height of my elbow standing. So I'm standing, height of my elbow, cable is level. And then I turn slightly. And then from here, I want to glue this upper arm to my side. A lot of times we'll have you put a towel right here, which is a good idea. So why don't I just do that for you, yeah? So I'll take a towel, just like a little hand towel, roll it up, put it right there. And then I want to make sure that my body's nice and posturally correct. Elbow, like it's sitting in a little golf tee right here. So it's just going to pivot. I'll turn sideways so you can see this. Inhale, squeeze it back. Exhale. Inhale, squeeze it back, exhale. Notice my wrist is staying straight. I'm not torquing it like I'm fly fishing. We don't want that. And back. So from here, inhale, rotate it back. So just like the W's that we were doing, we're rotating, and at the same time I'm drawing my shoulder blade back towards my spine. Right? And I'm not letting this arm move at all this way. It's just rotating, full range of motion, and then back. So that strengthens the external rotators, which helps pull this arm up into the socket more. So a lot of times when you have things like supraspinatus, tendonitis, and along with that, the long head bicep tendon usually gets irritated. This helps pull that in so that you're not causing that pinching. So that's an external rotation, classic external rotation. And then a couple other things that you can do, which I highly suggest are, and I'll stay over here now, I'm going to find the middle of that tubing, just like we've been doing all week. So I put it down, there's the middle, stepping on it, putting it right in between my arch. And then if I need to, I can walk out. And for this, you want a light band. So now we're going to do what we call flies. Remember with the chest, we had chest presses, and then we had chest flies, where the arm stays fairly extended with a slight bend in the elbow. Well, now this is working the shoulder. So the shoulder, not only does it have those 4 rotator cuff muscles, but then on the outside, the big shoulder muscles that you see, your deltoids, there's 3 different strands or heads to that. There's the anterior, which is the front, which is right here. There's the medial or middle, which is obviously right here. And then the back, the rear, or the posterior. And all 3 of those get worked at different angles, and you want to work all 3 of them. So to work that anterior head, right, we want to do basically what's called a front raise. So we're going to bring that out in front of us and then back down. So I'm going to turn sideways. I always keep my posture, draw my stomach in, slight bend in my knees, chest up. I'm going to bring it out in front of me, shoulder height, and then back down. Exhale, shoulder height, pause it for a moment, back down. So this is for the front of the shoulder. And then for the middle or medial aspect, what we want to do is either come directly out to the side, so it's straight out to the side, or something a little safer is to do this in what we call your scapular plane. So again, your scapula is your shoulder blade, and your shoulder blade sits on your rib cage. So your rib cage isn't flat, it's rounded, right? There's a roundness in the back to your rib cage. So when the shoulder blade is sitting on that, it's not sitting completely flat like this. It's actually at roughly a 30-degree angle to match the roundness of the ribs, yeah? So what we do is instead of coming straight out, which would be 0 degrees, just bring them forward about 30 degrees. Not way out here, just slightly forward in front of you. And then that way it keeps the shoulder a little safer because you're in that scapular plane, right? And it's an inhale on the way up, hold shoulder height, exhale down. And I usually do about 2 seconds up, 2 second hold, 2 second down. All the while keeping my rib cage nice and high, so my chest up, pulling my head back, inhale, exhale, drawing my stomach in, keeping my knees slightly bent. Right? So we worked the front, and now the medial, and now we have to work the rear delt back here. So it's all about how you change the direction of pull. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. And what I'm going to do is, I know you can't see my feet, but they're about shoulder width apart. And notice that right now I'm holding the cable here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross them. Oops, hang on, don't get them entangled in one another. So now I'm crossing them, right? So this arm's coming this way and this arm's coming this way on an angle. And now we have to lean over. So what we're going to do is we only have to lean over a little bit. A lot of guys are way, way down here. It's not that that's bad, but all we need to do is lean forward just slightly, because think of where gravity is hitting now. A straight line with gravity, straight down with gravity, yeah? It's hitting the back of my shoulder now. When I stand up, it's hitting right here. And so if I lift off to the side, that's why it's hitting middle delt or medial delt. Now if I keep standing straight and I bring it this way, because of the angle that I'm pulling from, it hits this muscle. So when I lean over, I change where gravity's affecting the body and that direction of pull. So now just by leaning over and bringing it out to the side, remember I have these crossed now. Inhale, hold for 2 seconds, back down. Inhale, squeeze your shoulder blades together, back down. Inhale. Now notice I'm keeping my back straight. I'm not rounding. I'm not doing this. We never want this rounding. So you really want to get your chest up, draw your stomach in, lean forward slightly, inhale, exhale. So this is hitting that rear delt now. Now you can also, that crossing, you can also use that for your lateral flies. Yeah? And you can also use it, if you want, but you don't need to, for your shoulder presses. Right? Because all the crossing's doing is it's just changing the angle slightly. So it's perfectly fine if you want to do it that way. Just be safe. Right? What else can I tell you? The shoulder, again, is very, because it has such a massive range of motion, right? All this that it can do all through here, this is incredible. Think about all those different angles and ranges of motion and planes that it's moving through. Because it has such amazing range of motion, it has a tendency of being less stable. And so those external rotations and those W's, etc., are really, really important that a lot of people don't do. They'll do the shoulder presses and they'll do the flies, but a lot of people don't do those external rotations. And I would tell you it's really, really important to do those. You'll see professional athletes, especially any athlete that does some kind of arm motion. So whether it's pitching, throwing a football, swinging a tennis racket, even swinging a golf club, swimmers, classically, all of these people, anytime you're using those arms repetitively, constantly, and under a great deal of torsion or torque, you're going to have to stabilize those muscles. Otherwise, they get very weak. Okay, so I want you to add those external rotations and those W's into your workout. Those are the basics. There's so much more we could go into, but that's how you can do that with tubing. And again, I just want to reiterate, since this is our last video, always make sure you're securing them properly and make sure that you don't abuse them. So don't be, pinching these indoors, right? Squeezing them. Don't be biting them. I don't know what you guys do with your tubing. So keep them clean too, because they can get a little dirty. So just some soap and water is perfectly fine. And then, keep the handles clean. And when they start to break down, throw them away. And then go get a new one. Because again, they're incredibly inexpensive, right? My guess is, if I remember correctly, something like this, which is just the basic plastic handle, not even any cushion. This is probably $7. If you get the ones with the cushy handles and everything, that was probably $12, right? So where else can you go and have basically a full-on travel gym with you and have maybe 3 or 4 of these that you can take anywhere and, probably have the whole thing for $30 and have some really high quality bands to do it with, right? Highly worthwhile. They can be an incredible amount of fun. So that's what I wanted to talk about this week. I want you to, if you're willing to, start incorporating this stuff into your exercise. And if you're not exercising, this is one great way to start exercising where you don't have to go spend money on a gym if you don't want to. If you want to go in a gym and have that environment, yes, go for it. Whatever gets you to work out, I want you to do that, yeah? So again, my mentor, Paul Chek, said, the best exercise for someone is the one that they'll do consistently. So go for it. Enjoy yourself. Again, if you have questions, just please send a message. Don't be shy. If you want to make it private again, you can do it through Facebook message. You can do it through my website, holistichealth-fitness.com. Go to the contact page. You got my phone number. You can call me. Or you can send me an email. So either way, perfectly wonderful. Let me know what I can do for you, all right? And so until then, I want you guys to take good care. And remember something? I'm coming in close. I love your guts. Take care, guys. Bye.